drinking my buddy's homemade wine, living Northwest wild. Hunting, fishing is my kind of style. I float the Wainuchi when it gets hot. I'm proud I own the things that I've got. I'm digging them moss bags up in the sand, and after work a cold beer in my hand, picking wild berries off God's land, and drinking my buddy's home.
Hey, good evening and welcome to Fish on Northwest. Wayne Eklund, Kelly Barnum, live here at Sportco. David over there in IT Ground Blind.
Yeah, he's hiding out.
Got that going on. You know, I told him if I knew it only took throwing a bunch of electronics and computers and wiring into a ground blind to get him out there.
I think that's all it takes.
That's all, you know, with a rifle.
Right.
And we would have put him on point scouting deer for us, right?
We'll see how he feels at the end of the show after like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then he could add about 100 hours to that, and he can be about where I'm at right now this season.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, anyway, we are coming live to you from Sportco. It is members night. It is loud in here. We're going to have to deal with overhead announcements of prizes they're awarding. They got, you know what, if you get down here in the next few hours, this thing goes on till 10 o'clock. Enter the raffle at the gun counter, enter the raffle at the fishing counter. Show up here at Fish on Northwest, live on location at Sportco. Like I said, for members night, we got buckets of prizes, literally buckets of prizes, right? Aaron Peterson, Northwest Fishing Guide, and just with Lamaglass dropped off a Kokanee rod and or a float rod, so we're going to raffle those off later. Winner gets his or her choice, whether they want a Kokanee rod or a float rod. So that's a pretty nice option to have.
Great
both
rods.
Fantastic rods. But we got a lot of stuff going on here tonight. We got some live guests that are going to join us later throughout the show. Brianna Zimmerman is here. Aaron Peterson, as mentioned, and Robert Strong is here. He just got back from Stuttgart for the National Duck Calling Championship. Didn't go so well for him as he had planned, but he's willing to come in and talk about that experience once again. Going to get him to blow on a duck and goose call just, you know, for laughs.
Right.
And lots of information to cover. Hey, we're streaming live on our Facebook and YouTube as we do each and every week, so make sure if you're watching us at home, jump on here, give us some comments, let us know what you think about the live event. It takes a lot of effort to pull this off, Barnum.
It does.
I appreciate all your help today.
Yeah, you got a lot of it for sure. And don't forget, we have one other really special guest here tonight. Santa Claus is just right there.
If we can pull him away from the photo. You see the line?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's members night here at Sportco. If you've never been here for members night, they got a lot of things going on. A lot of the vendors are here to talk to you about product specific, right?
Right.
Great deals. A lot of their items are on sale. Great deals. So you want to get here early and get in on some of those deals. There's limited numbers of things that you can get your hands on.
Yep.
Did you see the halibut rod and reel Daiwa combination?
No.
$438.
Wow.
Electric reel.
Wow, that's a steal.
Yeah, it is. That's like a $1,100 value.
Yeah.
So really blowing out a lot of good things here tonight. We'll have Sherry and Fish Killer Angie with her smoked kokanee dip recipe later on. She was coined that name by her husband, who gets his ass kicked every time they go out fishing. So my dad knows what that's about when he takes my mom fishing. That's kind of the way it works. So,
women always outfish us, man. It never fails.
Right?
Never
Lady
fails.
luck. So anyway, this smoked kokanee recipe is fantastic for this dip, and it's the holiday season. You want to definitely use this one over the holidays for friends and family. Want to remind everybody that Fish on Northwest is presented by Better Homes and Gardens Pacific Commons, located in Puyallup, Washington, and they are a fantastic group of folks to have on board. Also, Barnum, if you weren't aware, brought to you by, physically on our live remotes, brought to you by Bulldog Trailers.
Yep.
Because that baby's parked right outside, and that's how we get all of this brought to you to set up and pull this show off live at an event. And we got some other big events coming up.
Yes, we do.
Not going to disclose that. Some folks already kind of know. There's some sportsman shows coming up. We may have some things going on there. We'll see how that all unfolds. But big events coming up for Fish on Northwest, and we appreciate all the support as we continue to go down that road. So, again, be here live at the show this evening. Every commercial break, we have free raffle tickets. We are the ladies are giving away. We got great prizes over there to raffle off. Got kids raffle. They're getting tackle boxes full of candy and worms.
I thought those were for us.
Well, you can have one,
oh,
Kelly.
Okay.
You can take one home.
Okay.
And I'm going to call Stephanie and tell her just don't let Kelly eat it all in one night.
Right.
Kinda, take your time on that.
Well, I didn't get to go trick-or-treating this year, so.
Oh, you missed out on that.
I know.
So, hey, so things going around the Pacific Northwest and beyond. Of course, again, it's members night here at Sportco. That's kind of a big event. Did you notice this last week, anybody out there, that if you pay attention to what WDFW is doing, they unveiled their new marketing package, the Get Outdoors package. I've talked to Tom Ryle a bit about that. Obviously, he's the marketing manager there over there at WDFW. And it's another opportunity for folks to purchase multi-licenses under one umbrella, right? So there's definitely some fees involved when you want to get your licenses to go fishing, hunting, crabbing, clamming.
Yeah, if you're one of the frequent flyers, one of the guys, you know, that you buy it all, every single thing they have, you know, when the game warden stops you, he's like, oh, I see you have it all. Yeah. You know, if you're one of those guys, this is going to be the perfect package for you and going to save you some money.
Well, initially, and they've had it in place for a number of years, Fish Washington has been very popular. Get your freshwater, your saltwater, your punch cards, retention cards. You get your crab, you get your clam, you get your seaweed. I know you're a big seaweed proponent.
Oh, yeah. Eat a ton of seaweed.
Especially out there in Raymond. So you got that, and two-rod endorsement. You know, there's a number of things, and you definitely save some money. Now they've coupled that in with a number of hunting licenses, right? And you put that all together. The overall cost is $236, and you go, wow, that's a lot of money. Right. But you get your elk tag, your deer tag, and for guys that go, well, I guess I'll pick up bear and cougar because I might come across one, or they may come across me. I might as well have that in my pocket. Then you go later on, you're like, oh, it's 2 months until waterfowl. Then you got to get your small game, and you start kind of a la carte piecing this thing together. Next thing you know, if you do all that stuff and you don't buy it all at once, but you go throughout the year and pick it up here and there, you're going to spend $346. Right. So all in all, this new program, Get Outdoors package, is going to save you $110. That being said, it can also save you as little as $12 if you are actually going to purchase all that stuff right at the start, right out of the gate. You're going to get all that stuff anyway. You're going to literally save $12, but you're going to have it all anyway. Yeah. So either way, you're saving money. Right.
It'll definitely save me money, I think, on the year, because I'm definitely one of the guys that nibbles at it throughout the year as the seasons come on. Right. Mainly because we'll purchase the hunting license in the spring because of the special draw permit applications. And so we dump a lot of money right there because I'm buying for all the kids and everything else. So this will save me money for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. More than likely it'll save me money. I've been kind of back and forth. Some years I grab a bear tag, some years I don't. I don't think I've ever purchased cougar tag, but yeah, you know, when you start putting in your waterfowl, your upland bird, your small game permit, and then you jump over to the fishing side of things, and you crab and clam and all that. I mean, there's a lot of frustration right now because there's not a lot of opportunity on certain things. Fishing is, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but you know, great opportunities for crabbing and clamming right now. And for those that haven't taken that on and you're kind of trying to diversify and options of things to get out and do with the family, crabbing and clamming is not such a bad thing, albeit the clamming is in the evening. Right. Those minus tides, and it has to be afternoon and all those rules, but and it is, you know, winter time. Right. You may not want to drag the little ones and waders out into the ocean.
But you can plan a good trip, especially like on a Twin Harbors dig, because Willapa is crabbing fantastic right now. Well. I mean, I haven't crabbed it in I think the last 10 days or so, but a buddy of mine has just been 30 keepers per pot right now. So it's unbelievable, best crabbing he's ever seen out there.
And there's plenty of room out there.
Yeah, so if you have a clam dig on Twin Harbors that evening, you get there early, you do crabbing through the day, and then go clam dig at night. I mean, you got a freezer full of good stuff.
Well, you go through your pods, and then you pull them because it takes no time to fill. Then you load up, head to the beach, then you go fish your surf perch. Right. And then as evening falls, you get your clam dig in, and next thing you go home with a bounty of stuff to either get cooking up or put in the freezer. So great opportunities are out there. You just got to kind of diversify. It's like a lot of our fisheries. You know, we have a lot of folks right now this time of year starting to talk walleye.
Yep.
Starting to talk about going to the east side, go after triploids. The cold water kokanee over at Roosevelt should kick off here about January, February. That's usually a telltale of how that fishery is going to perform later on as we get towards June. Albeit it's cold, heaters in the boats, a little different approach, but there is things to do. There are things to do. Upland or waterfowls, still going. Upland birds on some of the private reserves. There's options out there. You just got to go search it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, WDFW trying to market in a different fashion, trying to encourage folks to buy licenses. And two of the topics we're talking about tonight received a whole bunch of traffic on our Facebook page over this last week.
Yeah, we stirred up a whole bunch of trouble.
Willapa has a pretty good return of fish. We're going to get into this later, second hour, but the system's been closed for hatch or for coho retention, and it's kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. It's frustrating and confusing. It's like, how do they have all these fish at the hatchery in surplus of 10,000, and we have no opportunity to fish? We'll explain all that to you later on in the show. The other one is WDFW is asking for $26 million.
Yep.
Budget shortfalls. Barnum, you and I have covered that pretty extensively throughout the last several months, all the way back from when legislation did not, fund WDFW, as it were. The Columbia River endorsement failed. There were a number of things that happened. We'll get into the reasons why. It all started way back March 2nd over in Spokane with a decision based on the commission to kind of roll back the gill net reform that we had already been into for 5 years. So there's a lot of frustration there. And I think a good percentage of folks got the ear of the legislators to say, don't fund WDFW. And as it were, it ended up, tremendous shortfalls. And so now they've come back, they're asking for $26 million. And we'll kind of break that all down, what that means. Who really, that falls on the shoulders of whom to say yay or nay on that. So we'll talk about that a little later in the show. But hey, we got lots of stuff over here. Go over there and see Shing while she's not doing the cooking thing. We got some really nice beer pints. We got YouTube Lake. You sell them? Oh yeah, that's true. We have a lot of clothing items. We got our hats here. We got what did I say? Beer pints. We got stemless wine glasses, all engraved and etched with our logos and branding, and make great Christmas gifts. We got multi-packages you can purchase there for friends and family for Christmas gifts. So make sure you stop over at the table, check that stuff out. Other than that, I mean, members night, busy, lots of people here, and this place is buzzing. So what do you say we jump out for a quick break? We come back, we'll introduce our first guest, Robert Strong, Rukus Outfitters. He and I have been friends for a long time. He's been an outfitter and a guide for a number of years. Phenomenal waterfowl caller, both in ducks and geese. The oddity is that he competes very well in the realm of ducks, or duck calling.
Right.
He doesn't hunt ducks all that much. he's more of a goose outfitter.
Okay.
Does very, very well over on the east side in hunting geese, and he's a phenomenal goose caller too. Don't get me wrong, but his passion is competing in that duck calling competition at a national level, and he's been there at least 10 times over the years. And we'll break that all down with him. He'll do some demonstration calls, but really great guy, successful in the outdoors, both in the facets of fishing and hunting. And we're going to talk to him about Stuttgart and his Eastern Washington Canadian goose hunts that go on over there. So we'll jump out for a quick break. We come back while Robert Strong sitting where you're at.
Yep.
Bump you on over. And during commercial break, get your raffle tickets ready. We're going to go ahead and pull out the first raffle, see who can win some prizes. All that and more when we come back right here, live from Sportco on FHN.
At Metals Supermarkets, we understand your need for fast access to a wide variety of metals, so we've made it easy. Our network of stores carries a wide variety of metal in all different types, shapes, sizes, and grades, with no required minimum order size. Who could ask for more? Simply tell us your dimensions online, on the phone, or in store, and we'll cut or process the metal to your desired size, often while you wait. We offer same-day service and can deliver the metal right to your door or job site. We even source hard-to-find metals, so no matter what you're looking for, Metal Supermarkets can provide it for you. And we're conveniently located with brick-and-mortar stores in Seattle and Portland, so you can check out our extensive stock for yourself. Superior customer service is guaranteed. quality service from real people who know metal. We are the small quantity metal experts. To place an order, simply call a store to talk to one of our knowledgeable customer service representatives. Fill out a quote request online, order off of our e-commerce website, or visit one of our many locations and pick out the metal you want. Whether you're a small or large business, government, homeowner, or hobbyist, we make it easy for you to buy the exact metal and just the amount you need. We've been doing this for over 30 years, so we know how to get it done. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience stores for metal. Visit or call a Metal Supermarket store near you today.
Hey, welcome back to Fish on Northwest, live here at Sportco Members Night. Lots of people starting to filter in. If you're just sitting down, make sure you grab your raffle ticket. We got plenty of prizes to give away. Yeah, Ron, get your raffle ticket. Go see Sherry up there at the counter and make you available to win a prize. Of course, you got to be here when we call your number because a few folks apparently got their number and left. And we're not on the PA system, so if you're not right here, you ain't gonna hear it, right?
That's devastating. So, you won, but you lost.
That's right. Plenty of prizes to give away. Plus, we got these 2 Lamaglass rods. We'll raffle off later on with Aaron Peterson with Lamaglass. You get to pick whether you want a kokanee rod or a float fishing rod for steelhead, depending on what you have going on in the very near future. With that, Robert Strong.
How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Oh, good. Yeah, back from the south, so.
Now, did you drive or fly?
Oh, we flew.
Okay.
my buddy Brody from who won the Oregon State Championship, he just had an absolute nightmare trip too. He just got back yesterday. His flight got canceled Sunday, and he spent 3 days in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've ever been to Little Rock, Arkansas, but there is
3 days too many.
Nothing to do in Little Rock, Arkansas.
So, Rukus Outfitters, you hunt on the east side.
Yep.
You've been over there for a number of years, very successful in goose hunting. I mean, you will blast ducks from time to time too, don't get me wrong, but I've come over and hunt geese with you. It's an absolute, well, I'll say blast, but it's a great time.
Yeah.
You do a really nice job.
No pun intended.
Huh?
No pun intended.
No pun intended. But this duck calling competition has been in your blood for a number of years.
Yeah.
I remember coming up and hanging out with you and Troy Taylor at a little event you guys put on with Travis Brewer up north.
Yeah.
And kind of a calling class or group that you had at the hunting club there.
Yep.
And teach people how to blow calls. And Troy handed out a bunch of his custom-made calls, and it was pretty educational. But you just have a passion for it. You've been doing it a long time. What keeps you going back to Stuttgart? Well, first of all, you got to do the qualifier. Let's talk about that. How do you qualify for nationals here locally, and is it even that popular?
Yeah, it's definitely more popular down south. I don't think they have as much stuff to do as we do around here, so everybody's really busy. Right. But you know, you have to qualify at a sanctioned contest, whether it's a state or a regional contest.
This last season, that was held down at Sumner, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the last 2 years, it's been at the Sumner Sportsman's Club. First weekend in August. They're trying to do it the same spot, the same weekend every year. Try to build a little bit. We had 6 contestants this year in the state duck. My friend Mike Callion won it, and so he represented Washington State. I won the Pacific Flyway Regional down in Oregon, so I represented the Northwest.
Okay.
Yeah, but.
So then you got your invitation to go to Stuttgart. Now this isn't like, hey, welcome aboard. We're gonna give you $10,000 to fly on out here and participate. Right. I mean, this is. You got to be committed,
grind.
Right?
It's a grind. I know a lot of guys who travel all around the country hitting up contests, and you're spending the money, the time, the gas, the airfare to get there, and you could squawk out in the first round and on to the next one. So it's, the group of friends, they drive around together. It's kind of like rodeoing, I guess, and they hit, without all the bruises and the pain.
Right.
Maybe not so much the headaches, but.
Hit the qualifiers, of which you did once again. Now, you've been to Stuttgart 10 times?
I think 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won Washington State like 8 times, and then Pacific Fly Regional a couple times, something like that.
Just only 8 times. Washington State champion?
Yeah, I did it for a while, and then I kind of gave it up and quit for a while, really focused on my guide business, and then, kind of got away from the contest calling, and, the competition just drives me, so I wanted to get back into it, kind of got back into it, and it was a big learning curve to get back.
After taking a break for so long?
Yeah, after taking a break for so long, it's a learning curve to get back, and you got to have the drive to practice, and my poor wife and kids and neighbors, they're listening to me. Yeah, they're listening to me hollering that thing, especially as we get close to contest time, especially the big one.
And we're not going to have you do it tonight because you'll blow the ears off everybody sitting here, but competition call, length of that call, the sequence goes on for how long?
90 seconds.
90 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like getting good at a reed instrument in that it takes a lot of practice. And and I sucked at saxophone because I never wanted to practice, so couldn't understand why I couldn't play. Well, it's because I didn't practice, right? So it takes a lot of not just tuning your ear and being able to hit those notes that you got to go through that sequence, but having the wind to sustain that, right? You got It's like playing bagpipes. You got to build up.
When you're practicing, you got to practice where to take your breaths too.
Right.
Just so you don't run out of air in a sequence. That the Main Street, the traditional Main Street duck calling routine, they named it after the Main Street in Stuttgart because that's the 84th year they've been doing this.
84 years.
It's kind of considered like the national anthem of duck calling.
Right.
Right. So everybody's you're basically blowing the real similar routine. You're doing your own little flair to it, but. You kind of got to respect the routine just like you would respect the national anthem.
Right.
Somebody like Christina Aguilera might belt it out and technically be way better, but if you don't play it the way it's meant to be played, it's wrong.
Well, people have an expectation.
Right.
And like you said, there's 84 years of history there, so you come in blowing that thing and kind of, dress it up a little bit, they're going to be like, whoa, hey.
Yeah, the first guy to win it didn't even use a call. He's just using this fatty little part of his hand here.
What?
Yeah, and he won a
He's got to be from
jacket.
Arkansas or something.
Yeah, he won a hunting jacket, and then fast forward 84 years, first place was 10,000 cash, big ring, shotgun, boat, dog. Yeah, it's
a dog.
A dog.
And
you're
taking the dog home too.
Right, you're taking the dog home too.
That thing's got to be 15 years old. What am I doing with him? So, practicing that routine, it's like you got a room in the house. Do you go outside?
I just go up to my daughter's room, and practice up there.
While she's sleeping?
Yeah.
How many hours do you think you have into the practicing the routine before you go to compete?
I usually try to do about an hour a night, half hour to an hour a night before I go. I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You want to practice, but you don't want to overextend yourself into where you get fatigued.
Right.
And perfect practice makes perfect. So, I mean, if you're practicing fatigued, you're not practicing perfect.
So, like, when you practice, do you basically go through the whole routine and then realize where you made a couple blunders, then you go through the whole routine again, or do you work on certain segments of it?
As I'm changing things, I'll work on segments, but when it gets close, I'm doing the exact same thing from start to finish, the warm-up to the sign-off, start to finish, over and over and over and over.
Are you videoing yourself or audio recording yourself?
Auto recording it. And a lot of times I'll listen to it and, driving around down the street, it's like on my playlist in my truck. Tupac.
Picking yourself apart.
It's like Chris Ledoux, Tupac, duck calling.
Duck calling, 101. So, there's me. I made the radio. Okay, I'm going to have you turn your mic off.
Okay.
I want you to do that. Doesn't it start with the intro hail call?
Oh, yeah. That's
right.
Those hail calls are crazy loud. Now, contest call in Main Street kind of gets a bad rap because it's nothing that I would ever do actually out in the field, right? And the scare ducks away. But the whole concept is you're pushing that call as loud and as hard as you can. They want to know who has the control, best control.
Right.
And it's considered a high ball, like you're calling the ducks down from, you know, the stratosphere.
Right.
So, and really the whole 90-second routine is painted around, you're painting the picture of ducks at a distance, you call them in, they're circling a few times, you're trying to lay them down with some feed chatter, they're leaving, you're going to hit them with a comeback call, they come back, and then you're going to lay them down soft at the end. So that's what the whole routine is based on, is you're painting the picture.
Sure.
So.
All right, let's, you got to stand up to do it?
Probably, yeah. Just so I can get the air.
Let's just initiate the act. I mean, go as long as you want.
All right, well.
Do whatever you want. You guys just get ready. This is, who has never heard the competition sequence on duck calling? Really? Okay, this is interesting. Again, as Robert said, it's not something you'd ever hear out in the field. If you do, then the guy's probably practicing because there ain't no ducks flying. So, typically how that goes. So just waylay on that as much as you want, and we'll see where it goes.
Well, we'll just do the full 90.
Yeah, we got time.
We got time. Roll it.
There you go. Nicely done, my friend.
Oh, wear you out for sure.
Turn your mic on. Yeah. You didn't know you were going to have to come here and work out tonight.
That last note probably just cost me the world championship.
Oh, well, you're a world champion in our eyes, buddy.
Hey, I'm the world champion in my kitchen, I can tell you that much.
I believe you. You probably practice that while you're cooking, right?
Driving down the road. You know, what's really great about, you know, the onset of vaping now is that nobody looks at me weird. I'm driving down the road.
You're vaping, yeah.
Oh, look at that guy's vaping.
Yeah. Smokeless vape.
I used to get some pretty funny looks.
Oh, yeah. They're like, what is that guy
And then every
doing?
night you get a hunter drive by and he give you a thumbs up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he knows what you're doing. He knows what you're doing.
He knows what you're doing.
Yeah, having a 2-hour commute each way was lots of practice. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad you made it to the Nationals again, and I know it didn't go as you planned. Like you said, you overblew it at the start. And,
yeah, epic fail in first round. I managed to make it the second round this year, but you know, it couldn't recuperate enough points to make it a third round this year.
Yeah, and so explain that real quick before we jump on a couple other topics. So you go first round and you're just scored, and then a certain percentage advances to second round?
Right, yeah. So there was 58 callers this year from all over the country. There's been as many as like 74, 75. And there's 5 judges, and they throw out the high and the low score, and it's a cumulative score of the 3.
Just like gymnastics.
Just like gymnastics. Just like gymnastics. So,
perfect.
You know, a lot of us are gymnasts. I don't know if the guys know that, but yeah.
Is there a particular brand of call that you prefer over other calls, and for any particular reason?
There's a lot of really good call makers out there. You know, an advancement of CNC machining and stuff like that. And, you know, and a lot of technology is shared, a lot of skill is shared. But these calls here are made by my good buddy Troy Taylor. He's actually a call maker out of Puyallup. The funny thing is that he's not real well known here in Washington State, but if you go down to like Arkansas and say I'm playing a Troy Taylor, and they're gonna be like, oh my God,
he's like
Troy Taylor.
He's like royalty, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's funny to have that conversation with you. He literally lives in our backyard. Puyallup has a beautiful shop.
Yeah.
Relocated his business. Is known throughout the nation, especially in the heart of duck hunting. Troy Taylor is synonymous amongst so many, but you're here in his own backyard.
Like I said, we got too much stuff to do here.
Yeah, it's probably the problem, right? If we were limited, we'd have more duck hunters. So
we got a question from Facebook. Is that a wood call? Or
no, it's acrylic.
Okay.
It's acrylic. So it's turned acrylic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's throw out, we got a little bit of time. Let's throw out a couple goose calls or goose sequence that you basically would do in the blind.
Okay, so I'm not
laid in the coffin blind next to you before and waiting for those geese to come in and see them way up high. And somehow you got this ability to get them buggers keyed in on what you're doing, and they come take a look. So
goose calling, when I'm field calling geese, I kind of consider it kind of like you're if you think about like you're trying to coax a squirrel at the park and eating out of your hand. Right. I'm not yelling at the squirrel. Right. I'm coaxing it, trying to get it. If he gets nervous, I back off. Right. Gotcha. And then he kind of loses his nerve, so I'm giving calling out a little bit more. Come here, squirrel, and you're working them back and forth. And if any time you just start yelling at it, it's going to run away. Sure. So, I believe like less is more, especially when it comes to goose calling. Yeah. You watch a lot of the videos and stuff, and those guys are selling their calls. So. Yep. Right. But probably one of the best sounds is just clucks and stuff like that, moans. But late in the season, when they've heard everything, if you honk too hard or cluck at them, they're gone. Yeah. So a lot of what we're doing is just what's called gabble sounds. Mm-hmm. And it sounds something like this. So you just... And then if they're on the swing, I'll hit them with a soft little cluck and I'll mix in there. That's about all. Yeah. How far away do you think those geese can hear? A couple hundred yards, maybe. Yeah. Depending on the wind. And the wind, yeah. The wind's on my back. I can get away with a little bit more. Play a little harder at them. But. Motion and stuff like that is a big key. Motion decoys, flappers, flags, stuff like that at a distance. Probably from a long ways away, it's probably going to do a whole lot better. Because they visualize, right? Yeah. They kind of gets their interest, and then they start hearing you, and they're kind of like, oh, let's go check those guys out. Exactly. Early season. I know amongst waterfowl, we say, the birds get educated. It happens, right? Mm-hmm. And we'll talk to Aaron Peterson later on about a snow goose hunt, and talk about crazy 1,500 decoys, bag decoys out in the morning. You guys wait till we talk to him about that. Absolutely insane to get out 2, 3 in the morning, put out 1,500 decoys. Snow goose. I don't think I ever want to get into snow goose. Yes, man, it's intense work to get that all laid out. But that being said, even they get educated to a certain point. And he's starting to experience that now, having to change things up a little bit. Early season, when you first start out on your first few weekends over there hunting, what kind of calls are you barking out then? Is it? You can be a little more aggressive with them. I do a lot of what they call spit notes, spit clucks. It's more of a powerful cluck. It's like a. It's real kind of a demanding cluck. I don't get too complicated with goose calling. Yeah. It's because what'll happen is they'll be leaving you or circling or something like that, and you'll get on them and you'll turn them. You're like, oh, I'm so good. I just turn those geese. But what you'll find out is that every time they circle you, they're gaining elevation. Oh, right? And you're like, I turned them again. I'm really good. Except they're 200 feet higher. Every time they're getting a little higher, getting a little higher, getting a little higher. And the object is get them lower. So the object is to get them lower. Yeah. Last time I came over and hunted with you, unbeknownst to your setup and how things were going that morning, every time we had geese coming in, you put out a series of calls, turn them, they come in to check us out, and all of a sudden they'd break and go. And it happened to us 4 or 5 times in a row. We realized there were people on the back levee road behind us. There were vehicles driving back there. There were kids that came walking through the field. Yeah. When we're out there hunting, it's like all of a sudden these couple little kids are walking through with sticks, poking in the dirt. That field in particular is a little bit close to town. That was a frustrating morning. Eventually we got some birds finally later in the day. If I recall, that was the last weekend of the season. It was late. It had warmed up. It was muddy. And it was like the geese aren't real pressured to feed when it's that warm. I won't tell you how many hours it took me to wash the mud out from under my truck, but it was that Quincy mud is sticky. Yeah. It was sticky. like being on ice, but you do all the best effort you can, and some of that stuff is out of your control. That was one of those mornings that we had no idea. Well, I remember it snowed in the morning, so we put the snow covers on. Yeah. And then by 10 o'clock, it was melted. Everything was dirt. And we still had the snow covers. It was a challenging day. We did get some birds, though. Credit to you. So, right on, man. Well, you were
supposed to be on the show a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Things took a turn. We haven't been able to do a show for a couple weeks, so I'm glad you're available tonight. And
thanks for inviting me out here. Yeah.
Well, we'll get you back down to the real studio.
There you go.
You know, the standby studio is not too bad. The portable studio.
Cool.
But,
yeah, good venue.
Anyway, you got some shopping to do. Going to get the wife some nice Christmas gifts here.
That's right.
I
saw a Barbie pole over there, so.
Well, she needs shotgun shells.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's a little heavy for her.
20 gauge probably.
There you go.
20, 12. So.
All right. Well, appreciate you taking the time, man.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Robert Strong, everybody. Appreciate him coming by. All right, with that, jump out for a quick break. We come back. We have, during the first break, don't go anywhere. Get your raffle tickets ready. Not giving away the Lamb and Glass rods yet, but we got some more prize buckets. Got some gifts for kids. We'll give those away at the break. When we come back, Fish Killer Angie and Sherry are going to be up with the smoked kokanee dip recipe that everybody's going to want to absolutely use. If you don't have smoked kokanee, it's okay. Smoked coho and steelhead and other fish work just fine. This recipe is fantastic. You'll definitely want to use it over the holidays for friends and family because it is tasty. So we'll jump out for a break. We come back. Fish Killer Angie and Sherry will be center stage here at the cooking table. Get this recipe off the ground. So don't go anywhere. Quick break. We'll be right back here on FHN.
At Metals Supermarkets, we understand your need for fast access to a wide variety of metals, so we've made it easy. Our network of stores carries a wide variety of metal in all different types, shapes, sizes, and grades, with no required minimum order size. Who could ask for more? Simply tell us your dimensions online, on the phone, or in store, and we'll cut or process the metal to your desired size, often while you wait. We offer same-day service and can deliver the metal right to your door or job site. We even source hard-to-find metals, so no matter what you're looking for, Metal Supermarkets can provide it for you. And we're conveniently located with brick-and-mortar stores in Seattle and Portland, so you can check out our extensive stock for yourself. Superior customer service is guaranteed. Quality service from real people who know metal. We are the small quantity metal experts. To place an order, simply call a store to talk to one of our knowledgeable customer service representatives. Fill out a quote request online, order off of our e-commerce website, or visit one of our many locations and pick out the metal you want. Whether you're a small or large business, government, homeowner, or hobbyist, we make it easy for you to buy the exact metal and just the amount you need. We've been doing this for over 30 years, so we know how to get it done. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience stores for metal. Visit or call a Metal Supermarket store near you today.
But is that me making it?
Hey, welcome back to Fish Out Northwest. Wayne England, Kelly Barnum in our mobile studio live event down here at Sportco Members Night. Giving away some great prizes. Got some folks that are digging those buckets of beer.
Yeah.
Did you get your raffle ticket?
Nope.
Well, you can't win if you don't have a raffle.
Well, I didn't think I could win at all.
Anyway, hey, we're back with Fish Killer Angie Vanderlinda and her fantastic recipe that the Vanderlindas were gracious enough to give to us. We've enjoyed it multiple times. Angie and Sherry are going to share that with you now. So, Sherry, there you go.
Okay, Fish Killer Angie. So this was a recipe that we were at a party and we said, oh, this was great, but it's missing something.
Yeah.
And so we took it home and we had a great time figuring out what it is. The best thing that you need to do, though, is you need to remember is that you smoke your fish before and you've got to let your fish spend the night in the fridge. You want it to get all the smoke into it and to the taste. And then you make the dip, but you need to let the dip stay in the fridge the night too. So it's actually a couple of day process that you go through that. So one of the things that it is that it's a 2/3 cup of mayonnaise that you have, and it can be any of the mayonnaise you want. I use just normal regular mayonnaise in it. And then it's a 1/3 cup of sour cream. And I like to take the mayonnaise and the sour cream and I do it all, mix it up first so that you get both blends. And then the spices that you are going to use in it is some Mrs. Dash, and that's about 2 teaspoons, about. I ended up measuring it for you, Dwayne, so that I knew exactly what I was doing. But usually it's like I like to do everything to taste, so you'll want to gradually go work through the taste. So I mix up that with the Mrs. Dash and get it all mixed in. You also will put in, what did I say? Oh, a half a teaspoon. Was a half a teaspoon of dill. I use just the kind that you can get in the seasoning. It's not fresh dill, but that could be tried if you want to try to do that. And then we use 2 teaspoons of dried chives in there and get it all mixed up. At this point in time, I will add some pepper to it, but later on in the mix, my husband Shane will come around and add more because he says it always needs to have more pepper added to it. It's kind of a fun thing. He tries to help me do it, and I kind of say, let me leave it alone. And then he comes in and he starts eating it and going through it. So I get all of that mixed up and together, and then I'll take some fresh green peppers and chop them up. That's about two of them in there. About a half a cup of chopped up, and I think that usually takes sometimes, depending on the size of your green onions, it might be a whole batch of it. If they're bigger ones, it might be a smaller batch of it. And I get it all mixed in and going around, so it looks more like one of those dips you would put, it's a creamier dip. It's not a chunky dip right now. And then after that's all mixed in, I take freshly ground Parmesan cheese. And that's about, what did we say? That was about, I've lost it here. It's about 3/4 of a cup. I wanted a half a cup again. My husband jumped in and said no, it needed more in it. So he always says that I push him away from the fishing rods. He's always pushing me away from helping make the dip and adding more things to it. So get all that mixed in. And then I brought in some fillets, and usually the kokanee fillets are, nice size fillets. We do fish out on American Lake, so we kind of get some of the bigger ones. So depending on where you're fishing at, it's going to be the size of your fillet. My husband does the brining and all of that. I usually just take and peel it off, and I clean the back of the fish so that I'm making sure that any of the fat or extra grease in that is taken off. And then as I do it, I'm also making sure that if any of the pin bones are there, that I'm pulling those off. So I chunk it up. I just kind of keep it chunky. Depending on what I want in the batch, it could be up to 4 fillets. We figured out it would be about 2 cups maybe in there. And I just take and I stir that up, mix it up, get it all nice. Not overdoing it, because I want the fish to be chunky in there so that when people are taking their crackers and mixing it in, that it's nice and mixed and chunky. And we use the water crackers so that you're getting the taste of the fish and not the taste of a cracker. And I get it all done and mixed up. And
okay, I am back. I don't know what was going on.
Okay.
I had a coughing attack.
Okay, well, better for you to take care of it back behind there.
And
I know.
That
I'm back.
Is what it looks like.
Awesome.
And we do have some of it there.
So we got samples that people get to try.
Yep.
We got the crackers out here, so when we go to commercial break, is that the plan, ladies?
Yep.
Sure.
Absolutely.
How much fish did you put in there?
It's usually about 4 fillets, about 2 cups. It depends on the size.
Okay.
Yep.
So going from there.
Your fillets are always big enough just to do one.
Right. What about bones? Any bones in there, Shane?
try and work very hard at making sure that they're not before I put them in, so I'll take and peel them off, and I usually keep going through there. Shane usually tries and gets all the pin bones out, but there might be a few in there, and it will usually be at the back, you know, that back end, and I can feel them there.
All right.
Yep.
And yes, I do use a glove or I will be walking around smelling like fish all the time.
Smoked salmon.
Smoked salmon.
Which is, I think they should put it in a perfume bottle.
Oh, yeah.
Actually. Wouldn't that be great? Essence
Around
of
our
smoked
house,
salmon.
it always smells like
Essence
that.
of smoked kokanee. A little behind the ear. Beautiful.
All right.
Yeah.
But-
Okay.
And we do know we've shared it with other people, and they've added other things. So it's a salmon dip that you can take and use, as you said, any salmon.
Yeah, you really
So,
can.
you know, we have done some coho if we smoked too much and we didn't want to go to waste. But the kokanee has that oil in it that kind of gives it that nice flavor and that nice taste to it.
Yeah.
I think there was another person who added capers to it in that. So or cream cheese has been added, but we stick with more of the mayonnaise and the sour cream.
Yep. I can see that working. Your triploid rainbow would work really well too because of the amount of extra oils in that particular fish. If you don't have kokanee, so great time to go get some triploid rainbow. That's going to do a nice job. Angie, this is fantastic. We've been using it ever since you gave the recipe to Sherry. I tell you what, there has not been a single person at the house who has not enjoyed it yet. So if you guys want this recipe, we'll make sure and post up the actual ingredients and measurements. I'll break this out as a standalone segment. We'll put it up on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Then you can go there and actually get all the ingredients instead of trying to write it down this evening. So appreciate you making time available. Obviously, Chef Kelly is off killing birds, so he wasn't able to join us tonight. So we had they had the stunt double step in. Nicely done. All right, there we go. Thank you, Angie. That was fantastic. Okay, we're going to jump out for a quick break. Not sure which one I'm at over here. And we're going to raffle off a couple more buckets and some more kids' prizes. So get those kid raffle tickets together. We're going to jump out for a break. Barnum, we come back. We are, what do we got? Oh, top of round 2. It's almost, we're about there. Okay. Got some news information coming up. We're going to talk about those fisheries we mentioned at the beginning of the show. And we'll talk about that 26 million budget woes WDFW is pursuing. So we'll get to all that and a lot more when we come back right here on FHN. Sterling is located in Puyallup, Washington. Sterling is your neighborhood quality one-stop shop for your team, outdoor clothing, screen printing, and embroidery. At Sterling, we are passionate about the outdoors and our environment. We only use environmentally safe products. If you fish, chances are you're getting a discount. At Sterling, we take pride in working with the customer to get you exactly what you need. Let us help you with all your screen printing and embroidery needs at sterlingprints.com. Hey, we're back on. We are live here at Sportco. Fish Hunt Northwest. Down here at Members Night at Sportco. This place is buzzing. People are grabbing hold of this Kokanee Dip.
Yeah.
And some folks didn't even eat dinner. They're just sitting here at the trough all night, which I guess they're part of the show now, so that works.
It must have been good because that line kept getting longer and longer.
Like out the door here a second ago. So there's a little bit left over. We go to break next time. We'll get more folks back up here to clean that up. So did we, I don't know if we got any takers on that last raffle bucket, did we? Anybody?
Oh.
Really?
We'll have to give away 2 next break.
I guess so. Yeah, if we get people to stay in the seats, you know, if you leave, you can't win if you leave, so you need to stay put. Barham, a couple things to cover here. That is a smoked salmon recipe that I don't need. That is show notes. Let's talk a little bit about this $26 million that WDFW is requesting with their budget shortfall. So let's just kind of back up and walk through. I put some notes down here to kind of go through that historical events of how that all unfolded. So they're requesting $26 million for a second time through this budget cycle. Now, Governor Inslee is expected to announce his budget around December 13th. Then it goes to the legislators, and they get to decide how to disseminate all that monies and who actually gets what. WDFW has not, if they don't receive the funding, they're stating now, once again, they're going to have to reduce staffing and services starting as early as February. So they're trying to get this up and going prior to rolling into the new year, or tremendous cuts, according to them, is happening in February. And I believe that it's mostly, what's your biggest expense? Staffing, right? Personnel, paychecks and benefits. I mean, that's your top dollar. So they're requesting money because, which would come out of general funds money at this point, to try to fill the gap that's been created, that they've been fighting essentially since 2008. They're coming up short constantly, right?
We've discussed this on the show multiple times. Basically in 2008, when we had the economic downturn, government agencies cut back drastically because there wasn't the spending, the economy wasn't what it was, taxes weren't coming in at the rate they were, so they had to cut. And WDFW is one of the old agencies within Washington State that hasn't been brought back current since that cut.
All the different agencies and programs that are out there, assistance programs, and all the things that legislator has to decide where the money goes, that is one of the very few that hasn't been brought back up to that level, as you're stating. So it's a valid point. Got some numbers here in a little bit that's going to probably catch some folks by surprise, but they did receive one-time additional monies early in the 2019 session, but it was a one-time payout to try and keep things running for a short amount of time. The deficit that they're experiencing is based on a number of things. Recreational license sales has fallen. It kind of is cyclical because when you don't have enough funds to run things at full capacity and you got to start cutting programs, then folks are frustrated because of lack of opportunity. With lack of opportunity, it drives sales of licenses down. And without sales of licenses, you take a bigger hit on funding. And then when they don't have funding, they got to make more cuts. So we continue to spiral in the wrong direction. We need them to be funded so they can bring programs back up to the levels where they used to be, or initiate new programs that they're waiting to unveil based on today's modern way of managing our fisheries and hunting opportunity. The likelihood of about 100 jobs plus will be cut if they don't get the money. Now, a lot of this, as I spoke of early in the show, is secondary to the decision that was made March 2nd at the commission meeting, which was held in Spokane. Now, a lot of people think that they moved that meeting to Spokane to vote on rolling back the gillnet reform that they had already adopted and been working for 5 years. The thought was, well, we'll go have the meeting in Spokane because none of the gillnetters will be there, or nobody can be over there from the west side to contest it. Well, that's not necessarily true. They actually scheduled the meetings east side, west side, alternating every other month, and it just so happened that it fell at that time frame over in Spokane. I'm not making excuses for the decision, which I totally disagree with, but it was held on March 2nd. After that decision was made, and the commission decided, based on the information provided by the 3-person panel from Washington, 3-person panel from Oregon, came together, said, we're going to roll back this gillnet reform, we're going to put gillnets back in the main stem Columbia, and we're going to split the allocation back to 70-30, again, the nets went back in early this fall. Right. We had targeted Chinook fisheries, compromising the low steelhead returns that we were already experiencing. Right. Folks were fed up. There were a few other things that intervened along the way, but at the end of the day, when it came to legislators deciding to fund the department, they took a lot of pressure from folks that were saying no, and spoke on behalf of different organized groups that said no, and the government listened and they failed to fund.
Well, there was a huge response, huge feedback from their user group, sportsmen, after that decision was made to roll back the gillnet reform.
Right.
I mean, people were all over social media, CCA and other, sportsman advocacy groups were all over their legislatures and everything else, telling them like, this is garbage. Yeah. This is BS. Yep. And so I think that sentiment got carried into the vote within the legislature.
Well, you feel as a sportsman or a recreational angler that the Columbia River endorsement was still up and running.
Right.
And those monies were generated for management of the Columbia River fisheries.
Right.
And yet, all of a sudden, we're heading in the right direction with gillnet reform. And as a sports person, you finally feel a sense of, hey, we're finally going to start winding down or lessening the impacts of these gill nets, fishing indiscriminately and whacking all these fish that we shouldn't be targeting, not targeting, but the catch is bycatch.
Right.
And you had a sense that things were heading in the right direction. All of a sudden, they pull the rug out from under you and they reverted back based on pressure from gill net lobbyists and wherever the money comes from.
Yep.
And so, it sent a lot of mixed signals. So then folks were like, well, I don't want to pay that Columbia River endorsement anymore because I don't feel like it's actually going towards bringing back our fisheries. I don't feel like it's enhancing our fisheries. So obviously that didn't pass again, which led to additional budget woes. At the end of the day, I think it was a poor decision on the part of the commission, which was really kind of the catalyst to a lot of these other discussions that then surfaced from a lot of the organized groups. That led them to the budget woes that they're experiencing now.
Right.
You and I still advocate that at some point we need to fund WDFW to try to get the levels of service back to what we need. We have 7.5 million people in this state. We have a lot of people that are wanting to fish and hunt, albeit in some times of the year the license sales have diminished, but we have less opportunity on specific rivers or access to certain lands to partake in those things. So when you're out there doing what you are passionate about, it feels like there's a lot of people.
Right.
Problem is, it's just people are condensed to smaller areas.
Right, and I would agree, and I think most of the sportsmen would agree. I mean, we feel like there's less opportunity.
Right.
We feel like, WDFW isn't doing the job that we're paying them to do.
Right.
But at this point, I kind of feel like with the budget shortfall where it's at, we're almost giving them a cop-out.
Yeah.
We're almost like, with them only being budgeted and only having the financing of 50% of what they need, it's easy for them to say, we don't have the money to do what you guys want us to do.
Our hands are tied.
But if we go to our legislator, we get them funded, they have they have the money they need, we can look at it 2-3 years down the road and go, okay, either yes, the money was the problem and you fixed it, or we gave you the money and we're still in the same boat. It's time that we make a change. It's time we do something different. But unless we fund them, they're going to continue to have this same complaint that we don't have the money.
The irony is that there was a lot of push earlier in the year and at the latter part of last year with Inslee's Orca Task Force. They came out with 49, we'll just say 50 recommendations. What, is this not working?
Yeah, use that.
Really?
It's cutting out.
Cutting out. All right, is that better? All right. Okay. So they came out with 50 recommendations from the Orca Task Force of all these different programs they want to implement, which had high dollar value attached to them. The irony is that a lot of these things were passed through, and as you and I have reviewed, there were millions upon millions of dollars allocated for hatchery reform, upping our Chinook, hatchery Chinook, albeit net pens out in Puget Sound or some of the hatchery programs. In excess of 18.6 million Chinook is numbers that were thrown out there. And a number of other things along the way, pinniped predation research to continue. There was $56 million or something, rings a bell. And you and I kind of looked at that and said, well, it's great that they're allocating all these monies to these programs, but at the end of the day, if they don't fund WDFW and you don't have staff and the ability to implement these programs, then what is the point to allocating the millions of dollars to the programs?
Right, because that was the confusing part about that is that money was allocated, but it's set up in budget line items to where they have to be used for that thing. So WDFW doesn't get a blank check for $56 million that they can spend wherever they want.
Right.
It has to be used for each item specifically.
Right. So they're kind of at in a tough spot, especially if we don't get this $26 million to fund WDFW going into the beginning of this next year. How do you implement the programs with all those dollars attached to save the orcas, plant the fish, and build this thing? If you don't have staff to do it, right? So some of the numbers that have been put out there, WDFW's annual budget is about $437 million. License generates about $110 million. This is a known economic bonus in that, unlike other governmental programs, when they dump several million into a food support program, a medical care program, some type of support program that the state is allocated to support, schooling and all those things, there is basically zero return on that money. It goes to the program, and that's what it goes and does. In outdoor sporting and recreational hunting and fishing, every dollar that's put into it generates $3.50 back into the general public. So in other words, it actually is a driver for creating more monies into the economy. And you don't have anywhere else in government that you generate that type of return on your investment, albeit it's the least funded program that we have. So again, that's our government working for us. Hunting and fishing generate about $875 million in the state. And it kind of makes you question, with the amount of money that's being generated, where's all the money going?
Right.
You know, there's a percentage of it goes into general fund and whatnot, but license sales do not go into the general fund. That's a misunderstanding. So, you know, when it comes down to it, we're asking our government as we move forward, they need to fund WDFW so we can try and give them the assistance to get these programs back up to where they are. If WDFW ends up getting funded, and as you and I discussed, and then they go for a couple of years and fall flat on their face, don't follow through with what they're saying they want to do. Don't find means and ways of providing more opportunity, more access to public lands, opportunity for folks to be out there on the water in the woods. Then you can take a step back and go, well, this is crap.
Right.
You know, we got them the money. The government supported it. We're back to a certain level where they should be able to complete this stuff, and yet we're still not seeing it. Then you got a right to bitch, right? But I think from 2008 till now, 11 years of struggling, and we continue to watch all our opportunity and stuff decline. We're at a crossroads where something needs to change, and without money, they can't do anything. So the reason we bring all this up is because we put this information out on our Facebook page earlier in the week. It generated a whole bunch of conversation, which we really appreciate. Folks getting involved, chiming in. Barnum, we like to put it out there in the sense of posting it to generate conversation.
Yes.
Because then we bring in both sides of the argument, and we're able to have that discussion here on the show and try to help educate folks as to what's truly going on behind the scenes and maybe some of the information that's not mentioned in dialogue.
Right. One of the things we like to do on our posts is a lot of times we've talked to people and we've actually gathered more information, but we'll put a post out that kind of leads in a way that we haven't, because we just want to get a feel out of the user base, out of, you know, our viewers. You know, how do our viewers feel about this? So that, I mean, we know how we feel. We've discussed it. We've had conversation. But how do our viewers feel? And it'll give us a chance to have another conversation with that person within the agency or whoever we're talking to.
Right.
And have your guys' opinions on it too, and not just have ours.
Some of the ideas that are spawned out of those conversations. I was talking with our buddy Tom Ryle the other day. We put the post up referencing the Get Outdoors package. And actually, our buddy Sam Barrett on the east side of the mountain said, hey, how about lumping together a group of opportunity for the east side guys?
Right.
How about something that just, you know, is for east side purchase that would be specific to hunting over there on the east side of the mountains? Tom and I had that conversation a couple days ago. He goes, man, you know, there's something we never actually even thought about. Right. And it's a really good idea. So it's through dialogue like that ideas come out that actually WDFW takes a look at and goes, hey, you know what, that's not a bad idea.
Right, and you guys are great. I mean, I will say out of all the hunting and fishing forum pages on Facebook or whatever that I follow, the conversation that happens on the Fish Hunt Northwest page is the most productive. You don't get the bashing between members and what like you get on some of the other ones.
Oh, yeah, it's clean. It's guys are actually posting well thought out dialogue. We really appreciate that, so keep it going. That's what we like to do during the week. We like to stay relevant on what's happening throughout the Pacific Northwest and beyond. Post that information out there for you guys to digest and give us your thoughts, because it's all of us working together to bring this stuff to light. All right, with that, the other post that you, my friend, decided to put out there was in reference to current numbers as they would be this year as the Willapa fishery is or is not performing. And I actually got a hold of some factual numbers, the most recent numbers, talking with WDFW a couple days ago. We got over 10,000 fish back at the hatchery, and yet we have a closed fishery for coho. And when you see those numbers, you're like, how is this even possible, right? Well, amongst those 10,000 fish, about 800 are wild. Now, we know a high percentage of wild fish are not going to the hatchery, or it'd be a flawed program.
Right.
So they do get a little bit of stray, but they've also surveyed, which is extremely easy to do right now, because I don't know if you checked your river flows lately, summer lows, gin clear, spawning reds in the upper estuaries and systems is extremely easy for the fish biologists.
Right.
They're just not seeing them. The wild count is so far off the charts, there's a high level of concern. The other numbers they threw out relative to Willapa and that system is that they've only met escapement once out of the last 4 years. They failed 3 out of 4 between 2015 and 2018. When they say failed escapement, they're talking about natural or wild fish spawner escapement needs, okay? They need 13,500 to meet escapement or spawner needs, and they're not anywhere close.
Right.
As we know, the preseason forecast for coho came in extremely high.
Yep.
And we had Larry Phillips on several weeks ago, and he explained how a lot of that is generated with out-migrating juvenile net test fisheries and some other components to generate that fish forecast. And from a biological standpoint, it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And previously, 2004, 2014, whatever year, 2014, they did the same exact type of operation relative to projections on preseason forecast.
Right.
And as it turned out, it came back, it was a banner year. I mean, we had coho that was just off the charts. Lo and behold, they do it this time. It's the second highest they've recorded since they started doing this type of prediction and scientific data gathering, and it just fell flat.
And it flopped.
Yeah,
right.
And he explained ocean conditions and all those reasons why. Well, I guess the point here is it's not just Willapa, it's not just Grays Harbor, it's Puget Sound, it's Columbia River, fell flat on its face. Ocean fisheries performed pretty well. Again, a reminder for recreational harvest, ocean fisheries are conducted based on the preseason forecast, and they're wide open. Nobody's throwing up the flag to say, hey, we need to stop these ocean fisheries. There's not enough coho. All indicators in all 4 ocean fisheries were that they were performing amply and would continue to do so. It was only once the fish were supposed to show up in the terminal areas that they didn't show, and concern all of a sudden reared its ugly head. So, referencing Willapa, the reason we're not able to conduct a fishery based on 10,000 fish sitting there at the hatchery going to waste is because the impacts you would have on wild fish.
Right. Right. And so the concerns I got from locals in the Willapa area and then friends of mine, and then when I looked at the numbers was, okay, that's fine and dandy. We're okay with closures for conservation, right? If we need to meet our wild fish escapement, if we need to meet our hatchery fish escapement, we're fine with that. So we're not complaining about 2019. But I want to look at a management standpoint and go, why in 2018, in 2017, when you didn't meet escapement, why weren't fisheries closed then? Why did we fish all the way through those seasons with low numbers and no escapement?
Right.
But this year, when we look like we may get numbers and escapement, you shut us down.
Yeah.
So there has to be consistency in management. And that's why I put that post up, trying to get information out, like, where is the consistency in our management?
Yep.
And some people took that as you're speculating that there's a boogeyman. No, I'm actually the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm asking, why wasn't there a boogeyman last year when we didn't meet escapement?
Yeah, inconsistency in that,
Right.
you know, they run their models.
Right.
Their models are consistent, albeit when they update those with test fisheries, you'll see some minor changes where the decimal point goes on occasion, right?
Right.
Doesn't happen very often, so they rely on years of data. I mean, we're talking about counting paper fish here, folks, and it's, you know, it's very, very difficult. The big unknown that's been plaguing us for years now that is really starting to impact the way they model these fisheries is whatever's going on out there in the ocean.
Right.
The warm water this year was equal to what really was happening in 2014, 15, 16. We started seeing the formation of the blob off the coast, albeit then it kind of dissipated and moved on. But the trigger here, and I've talked to a handful of biologists, is understanding the amount of warm water currents that push up out of the south. When the tuna fishing is off the charts and you're getting a lot of the albacore, great.
Right.
When you're starting to see a lot of bluefin out there and a lot of exotic warm water fish up from California that we typically don't see, you get a couple reports of guys catching great whites.
Right.
There's stuff going on in our ocean, in our temperatures, and our currents that are not normal.
Right.
And you push that warm water and it continues to head on up past Washington, up into the around Canada, and, you know, starts infringing up towards Alaska. You change the water temperatures up around where the ice should be dropping into the waters of Alaska, and there's no ice forming. It changes the microbiotics. It changes the growth of krill, and it affects the entire food system. Right. And when that krill doesn't develop in the north cold waters and flush down south later in the year, we got big problems.
Right.
And that's typically what is going on this last year.
Plus, we've read multiple articles. It's been a few years since we've seen them, but we saw articles 3-4 years ago about water quality in Puget Sound and the type of chemicals they're finding flushing out of Puget Sound.
Well, all our fish are high.
Right, and that's happening all up and down the coast. I mean, that's our water quality is a big, big factor.
Huge factor.
Right.
So you couple all the things we constantly talk about. Habitat, big one, right? A lot of people's radar.
Right.
Hatchery reform. Predation, albeit the birds. The birds are out of control. I don't know if you've seen our recent reports relative to the birds on the Columbia River, above Bonneville and below. Huge impact on steelhead smolt. Truth be told, we may only see actually 20% of the migratory downriver smolt of steelhead from the Snake River in Columbia down to the confluence of the Snake River in Columbia, all the way down to the estuary water of the Columbia. We could possibly be looking at as low as 20% survivability of steelhead smolt. This has been drafted out of an 11-year, this is the stuff that frustrates me, 11-year study on bird predation on steelhead smolt. What did they find out in year 11 they didn't know in year 3 or 4?
Right.
I'm not quite understanding that. But there's a lot of things going on there with moving nesting grounds and, you know, birds now taking up nesting actually on the Astoria-Megler Bridge.
Right.
A lot of uncontrollables. Ocean conditions are no different.
Right.
And the biologists and marine biologists need to start factoring in higher loss percentages based on ocean conditions than they previously had. And we're not there yet. They are, but they haven't completely pushed that into the model. And I believe when they do, when they come to an understanding and agreement on where that's going to be, we're going to see much lower preseason forecasts than we've been accustomed to, which is the last thing we want to hear, right? So,
well, I think my concluder on this is the fact that I think, as we know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I think it's time that us sportsmen start to get a lot more squeaky. Yeah. We need to reach out to our representatives, to our congressmen, to WDFW, and tell them we're tired of not having fish. We're tired of not seeing the elk numbers we used to, the deer numbers we used to, and it's time for a change.
Yeah.
And until we get squeaky, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. They're going to get if they do get their budget that they're asking for, where's it going to go if they don't know that if we're tired, right?
Yep. Well, and that, you know, there's a segue there. I don't know if for those following us on Facebook, next week's show is going to be extremely interesting, albeit it's going to be, well, we'll just say it's going to be political.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be as political as you can get. We have Lauren Culp, who is the current police chief of Republic, who is running for governor.
Yes.
Their folks contacted us, asked if it would be possible to get Lauren on our show to talk about his run for governor. Now he's a Republican out of Republic. He's a police chief. He's served 20 plus years in the service. He had a business in Olympia for 20 years. He's done a lot of things.
Right. Huge supporter of the Second Amendment.
Huge supporter of the Second Amendment, and that was what got him national media coverage when he basically let it be known that his officers would not enforce Initiative 1639.
Right.
Said our police force is not going to confiscate guns. We believe in Second Amendment. So he's got his platform that he's established.
Yep.
He is a diehard outdoorsman. He's been hunting since he was 8 years old. He's been fishing his whole life. He wants to reach the fishing and hunting community. He's running for governor of our state. We said, absolutely, that's our demographic, folks that tote guns and fishing rods and pickup trucks and what have you, and boats. And you want to come talk to our folks? You come talk to our folks and let us know where you stand. And we're going to hammer him with a ton of issues.
Right.
But recreational opportunity, funding WDFW, how do you go about selecting your commission folks to put them on the commission?
Right.
That's been questionable under Ensley's watch. How important is it to fund everything we want to do in this state relative to recreation outdoors? And, of course, we got the other issues, the homeless, the drug epidemic, all the different needs that are pulling down their government. So we got a laundry list of topics and issues. We're going to spend the week gathering intel from all you folks that follow us just to see where you're at, questions that you want to pose to him. It's our opportunity as outdoor recreational folks to really hammer on a guy that's coming in and see where he stands on a lot of these issues. And much like this budget stuff we're talking about, that comes back on his watch. It's like, okay, you're governor for a day or for a couple of years, 4 years.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What's going to be different from your perspective? How do you fund WDFW and other agencies to make sure we're getting, we're going the other direction finally?
It's going to be interesting for us because he has a legitimate chance of winning the governorship. I mean, I think this year going into 2020, he has a legitimate chance. I mean, a lot of the east side is tired of King County politics, and they want to see a change. And I think a lot of people outside of King County are tired of King County politics. So he has a great chance. So it's a chance for us to sit down with a guy that has a legitimate chance to be a governor and talk hunting and fishing and issues that concern us every day.
Yep. So get your questions ready. We're going to be putting it out there on our social media. We want input from all our folks and followers and whatnot. This is your opportunity to, see where an individual is at on this stuff. And the reason we brought all that up is, one, to grease the skids of what's coming next week. Make sure you tune in. Secondly, it ties into this budget and lack of fishing opportunity we continue to talk on week after week, month after month. So, all right, that kind of wraps up the political jargon, Barnum. So, had to get that off our chest. Jump out for a quick break. We come back. The text thing's blowing up here. You got some questions to answer. Hey, also, it indicates, Brandon Wilson, thank you. Blue marlin was caught off the coast here this year, off the coast of Washington. Forgot about that. So, we're talking about exotic species and weird fish. Turtles and things swimming out there where they shouldn't be. It's due to that warm water. And remember, when you hear information about warm water and weird exotic species like that, that does not bode well for our anadromous fish that come out of the Washington coast at all, okay? Those two cannot live cohesively. Okay, Brianna, she's out there in the audience. I think she's ready. Well known by many, Brianna Zimmerman is Sportco Pro staff. She's been with G. Loomis a number of years, the Grundon girl, as we like to call her. She has taken some time to sit down and talk all things relative to fishing, hunting, pregnancy. I don't know if she knows this. She's starting to show a little bit. Got a little bit of a baby bump going on. May have talked to her about that, how it impacts her and Jeff's ability to be out on the water in the woods. Phenomenal person. Can't wait to get her on the show. First-time guest. So, going to jump out for a quick break. We come back. Brianna's going to join us right here in the studio live at Sportco for Members Night. Still got time to get down here and win some prizes. Raffle coming up at the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Fish on Northwest right after this. Sterl Inc. is located in Puyallup, Washington. Sterl Inc. is your neighborhood quality one-stop shop for your team, outdoor clothing, screen printing, and embroidery. At Sterl Inc., we are passionate about the outdoors and our environment. We only use environmentally safe products. If you fish, chances are you're getting a discount. At Sterl Inc., we take pride in working with the customer to get you exactly what you need. Let us help you with all your screen printing and embroidery needs at SterlInkPrints.com. Hey, welcome back to Fish on Northwest. Wayne England, Kelly Barnum, and of course the crew that was here cooking tonight, Angie and Sherry, and Brianna.
Hey!
How are you?
Thanks for having me.
Oh, we got a little something for you, by the way.
Stop it, you guys.
Hey, you stop it.
Oh, how cute is this?
First of all,
yes.
Because you are preggo.
How cute is this?
Because you like jokes, right?
You know what I heard today?
Well, a joke. Here we go.
I heard sheep.
Yeah. See? That's what we're talking about. If you're not aware, Brianna is the joke teller here at Sportco, and every year she hammers out a handful. Where do you come up with all your jokes?
You know, other people telling me is like the best source.
And then you just remember them?
I have to usually say it to remember it, or I have to write them down and then read them one time.
You just say it in your phone and document it?
That's how my memory works.
Yeah.
Is I have to physically have action with it.
Right.
So if somebody knows a good joke, I'm all ears.
Yeah, well, you're going to tell a couple of them before we get done. So anyway, you got your prego sauce for the prego.
This is so awesome.
And then, of course, we got you,
You can take that.
something there that you may like that.
Oh, this is so special.
Now, is that going to fit Jeff, or is it a little... So,
I mean, it might fit like an arm or something.
Yeah, there you go. So there, first one we've made.
This is
Baby
so cool.
FHN. Yeah, you like that?
Yes, thank you.
So, and you got some stickers and whatever. Oh, and Barnum Crackers, he had to chip in here. He's got his own.
Got my own line of crackers.
Yeah, Barnum's Animal Crackers, right? So he's got his little special deal there.
My likeness on the front.
Oh, yeah, that's you. You're
I'm suing him for that.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. A little something for taking time with us.
This is so cool. Thank you.
All right, Miss Joke Teller Lady, give us another one.
Do you know why the rooster went to KFC?
Do I know why the rooster went to KFC?
I mean, how PG does this have to get?
No, we're fine. We're streaming.
I heard you swear.
Santa Claus is right there, so you decide how PG it has to be.
I don't want to get a coal for Christmas, but this is a great one. So the rooster, he went to KFC because he wanted to see a chicken strip.
Very nice. That's dirty. For Brianna, that's dirty. Chicken strip. Oh, God.
Do you know why Santa sent his daughter off to college? No. He was trying to keep her off the North Pole.
Perfect. Anyway, you, my friend, have been down here for a number of years, been an asset for Sportco. You've helped promote a lot of things going on around here. You've been with G. Loomis for a number of years. Back in the Pautzke days, you're out there curing bait, showing people what's going on. But the elk hunting, the archery obsession with you the last few years. Probably don't need to remind folks of the elk you got a couple years ago, that little critter that you acquired, right?
Yeah, that was just a little first bull. Is no big deal.
Little first bull, no big deal.
Yeah.
Nice draw on that one. But, I mean, this year, too, you earned it. Nice bull you got, right?
Thank you, yeah.
While being pregnant.
Yeah, it's been fun. Hunting's been a very interesting and different experience in my life. It's not something I expected to ever get into. Yeah. And I didn't expect to have something as a hobby that like changed me as a person. And I mean, fishing is fun and it's great to get out and it clears my head, but hunting puts a different drive in me and creates a different drive in my life, and is attributable to like things like a new job and doing all sorts of things. So I'm excited to get to hunt now with a little child and see it through their eyes, and hopefully they get to experience the same life-changing things.
How do you think you're going to tackle that going into next year? Are you going to put the baby on your back and go for it?
You know, the in-laws asked us what we wanted for Christmas, and so we just said a babysitter for September would be pretty ideal.
There you go. Like, here's a baby for a month.
Yeah.
Right. Don't teach him any bad habits.
Maybe, like, if I have separation anxiety, maybe mother-in-law will come to camp with us
to the mountains
and hang out in the trailer
Sure.
or something, so I can go out during the day.
All right.
We definitely plan on taking our child, maybe children, in our life hunting as they get a little older, but you know, not a 7-month-old baby elk hunting in Idaho kind of thing. Maybe some local deer hunting though. We're getting some packs that are like pack frames so that we can carry around baby all day. And
no, the earlier you expose them to it, the better. Really is.
And just trying to be open-minded to that hunting is different now. We might not want to go on back-to-back 2-week out-of-state hunts when we have, you know, babies at home, and knowing that we're probably not going to be planning that for a few years. And when we do take our kids out, that we're probably not going to be successful. It's just about the experience and not getting something.
You grow as a hunter, and the fact that the excitement and thrill you have for hunting now personally, as the kid gets older, starts to change into the thrill for them and the excitement for them. And you lose a little bit of your own.
I'm excited for, you know, a new journey and to see something through such innocent eyes and something so pure.
So your passion for hunting out far and away is your passion for fishing at this point?
I wouldn't say that it outweighs it, only because you can only go on a couple hunts a year.
Pretty short season.
It's just so different. For me, fishing is just like, it's a quick getaway, and fishing has always been something where you can learn something, you can read a new article, learn a new tactic, learn a new technique, and go out to put it to use, and it's sort of more of an instant gratification thing.
Good point.
It's clearly work, and it's not always instant gratification, but it's always been about learning something new for me, whereas hunting is more like cleansing my soul and learning about hard work and dedication and going through a grind. I don't want to grind fishing. That's not really that fun, unless it's Drano Lake, but...
You'll do that.
She will come to Drano this year.
Was it a girl?
Yes.
Oh,
it's a girl,
Oh, how about
and
that?
And she'll be out there at Drano.
She can wear a camo.
Yes. Yeah. And we don't care about colors or anything. She'll wear... Not everything's pink.
So this past season, being pregnant, which was your hardest hunt? Didn't you guys go to Montana?
We went to Wyoming. So that was supposed to be the easiest hunt because it was a rifle deer hunt, and everything we've heard about it and our friends that have hunted there before had wonderful, easy things to say, like, on the last day you can shoot a 2x2 off the road. It's great. And so that's kind of what we went into it with. We had a Western Washington archery elk hunt, an Idaho archery elk hunt, and then Wyoming rifle deer. And the Wyoming trip was by far the hardest because I was farthest along in the pregnancy. And it was right about when I hit the 6-month mark, and that's when things started getting uncomfortable. The archery hunts were difficult, and they had their own challenges, but I was, still able to hike miles every day and was mobile and could pack animals out. I didn't really have any desire to hike in Wyoming.
You were pretty much done?
I was really done.
How far did you go each day, you think? Like, you get so far in, you're like, oh man, I need a break.
I did not go more than a mile in anywhere in Wyoming. And maybe no more than 4 miles in like a whole day. And that probably includes walking to and from the truck at camp.
Was Jeff off doing his own thing? Did he go off and go hunt something else and just kind of let you alone? Or?
Yeah, a few days where we split up because I felt bad. I didn't want to hold him back. And so we did split up, but he was pretty burned out. He hunted like 26 or 28 days or something in September for archery elk. And so he was pretty burnt out by the time October came, and he didn't really want to hike, elk miles either. And so we did split up a couple days, but for the most part, he came along with me, and he was really good to me, and he was nice.
Well, it's a new chapter. I mean, you guys are going to have your first child, going to expose her to fishing and hunting, and you got your challenges up. Our granddaughter Harper got her first fish at 2.
Oh, she's so cute.
She's okay. She does all right.
She's so cute.
Yeah. And she's a good eater. She loves elk, she loves deer, she loves fish, and your children will be no different because you're going to raise them up on all that wholesome natural protein, which is great.
You just get them going, they don't have a choice,
They don't have a choice. It's all their palate is, knows, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it works. I mean, Barnum's kids were.
Yeah,
that's all they've ever
I have
eaten.
some funny stories about that.
Oh,
my youngest son used to go to school and tell the cook that he's not eating it unless he knows where it was killed and how.
Oh, smart kid.
Yeah, 5 years old.
Yeah,
That's
like
awesome.
5 years old.
No snack time unless that jerky is from a deer in these parts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who killed it and how was it killed?
Right.
Wanted to know the story.
Yep. So, you gonna get out steelheading much in the next month or so? Babies do what? February?
February 2nd, yeah. And I do think that we'll get out. We usually don't start steelhead until New Year's Day is our first trip. And so I would like to say that yes, I'm gonna get out, but right now I don't really enjoy fishing all day. The standing on the diamond plate thing isn't very fun for me, and so I'm good for about 5 or 6 hours.
Right.
So if I can talk Jeff into committing to just like a half a day, then we'll go out. Otherwise, I'm not really sure.
Just don't put a recliner in the sled.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, that little recliner out in your garage.
Yeah.
That just goes in the sled, and then we're going fishing. And
Or
we'll
just
try drift all day.
no crap after 2 p.m. If I just want to sit here, I'm cool sitting in the boat.
Put my
It's not
cables
being
up and
outside.
relax,
Yeah, let
right?
me put my feet up.
Mama's
Have
having
you
a baby.
guys
Don't complain.
have you guys made an agreement on how close together contractions have to be before you'll end the trip?
Before you bail out the river? It's like they're 2 minutes apart, Jeff. We got another hour.
Come on, one more drift.
Steelhead or biting.
Thankfully, he doesn't know barely anything about pregnancy.
Oh.
Well, that too. No.
Yeah.
So I could tell him, you know, they're like an hour apart, and I could say, we gotta go, we only have 20 minutes, and he wouldn't know any better, so.
Does he read? Does he search
He reads
information on the
fishing and
internet?
hunting,
Oh,
and hunting,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
And, you know, I was nervous about delivery, and he said, you know, I've watched elk give birth before in videos. They
He
just
compared
pop
you
them
to a
out and they
cow
clean them, and then you guys you're hiking and you're feeding
Just
and
lick
stuff.
it,
You're
it'll be
fine.
Just like the baby clean.
Yeah.
They'll be walking. If they're not up and walking,
Yeah.
I mean.
You abandon them. It's fine. We'll get new ones.
Predators.
Yeah, they gotta eat
on
too.
the hospital floor.
Yeah. So in a
compromise.
sense, it's nice that he's a little oblivious to things.
Yeah,
But at
right.
the same time, when I go into delivery, he's probably going to be like, you got a champ? You packed out elk
Got
before. This is
you
fine.
packed out elk.
Right.
Yeah, perfect. Well, all right, before we get out of here, throw us out another one of your phenomenal jokes that you're so fond of and so famous for.
Okay, one of my favorites. A lot of people have heard it before, but I'm sure plenty have not, but it's one of my favorites. Why did the Irishman only put 239 beans in his soup?
239 beans in the Irishman's soup, Barnum. You're Irish, aren't you?
Yeah, but I don't know that.
Because he didn't want it to be too farty.
Oh, there you go, yeah. I think I saw that one online, and I think you laughed for like 30 minutes. For some reason you fit the word farty into a conversation. Speaking of farty and pregnancy, Jeff, I'm just telling you. I'm warning you, dude.
My pregnancy's been very mild.
Yeah, perfect. Well, hey, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have a name for your daughter yet?
We don't because of Jeff, because, you know, he doesn't research anything other than elk and fish, so.
Probably wants to name her Jeff.
He does really love Tom Brady, and we are due on Super Bowl Sunday,
Oh,
and
yeah?
so he's got this obsession with Brady, and I've got this obsession with gender-neutral names.
So,
And
Tommy?
so, I mean, I did like Tommy, but Brady might win also. If the Patriots win the Super Bowl and I deliver on
Not gonna
Super
happen.
Bowl.
You might deliver on Super Bowl, but the Patriots taking home. So, not happening. Not here. The Northwest has something to say about it. Right? Well,
I
hey,
like the Seahawks.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on. Long
Thank
overdue.
you.
And after baby's born and whatnot, you guys are up and around. You know, we'll get you down to the studio and.
Thanks.
You know,
Good job
talk
on the show. This is really awesome.
No, we're trying.
It's
you know,
pretty
starting to gain a little
rad.
traction. People enjoy it. And Shing's doing a great job. She's over there selling the goods and the wares, so appreciate
Yes.
that.
Somebody's got to pay the bills.
Yeah. Now you get your pregnant bud home and whip Jeff up some nice whole grain and Prego sauce there for the evening
Thank
bills.
you so much for this gift.
Awesome. I can't wait to see pictures with the little girl in that particular little onesie. That's going to be great.
So cute.
All right, perfect. Brianna Zimmerman, everyone. Thanks for coming by. All right, we'll jump out for a break. We come back. We, at the break here, don't go anywhere. We got more raffles to give away. Getting close to giving away these Lamb of Glass rods. If you're not sitting here, you cannot win. So, Barnum, you need a Kokanee rod.
I do.
Yeah,
I need both those rods.
If you
All
gonna
right. We'll jump out for a break. We come back. We are going to sit down with Aaron Peterson, Peterson Northwest Guide. We're going to talk about all that's going on at Lamb of Glass. Plus, we'll check in what's going on up north with his snow goose hunts, waterfowl, and a whole lot more right here on FHN when we come back. Sterling is located in Puyallup, Washington. Sterling is your neighborhood quality one-stop shop for your team, outdoor clothing, screen printing, and embroidery. At Sterling, we are passionate about the outdoors and our environment. We only use environmentally safe products. If you fish, chances are you're getting a discount. At Sterling, we take pride in working with the customer to get you exactly what you need. Let us help you with all your screen printing and embroidery needs at sterlingprints.com. One more buck. Oh, we're back live. Perfect. Hey, welcome back, Fish on Northwest. Dwayne Eklund, Kelly Barnum, here live at Sportco Members Night. Kind of winding down. A few folks have filtered away, and it begins to be a long, drawn-out evening. Aaron Peterson, Northwest Guide. How are you holding up? That's it? Good? Yeah, talking to folks? All right. We'll try to see if that scruffy beard doesn't rub that microphone, right? You're here tonight representing Lamaglass.
Correct.
Yeah, we'll talk about your guide service and business here in a little bit, but been with Lamaglass for a few years now.
Yep.
How's that going?
Great. Lots of cool new stuff this season. I get to be part of some of it.
Yeah.
Designing and helping out with some of it.
Testing rods in the field.
Yep.
I think when I was fishing with you this summer over at Fish Camp, we had some new rods you had out there in the water.
Yeah, those were a composite rod.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, really nice parabolic bend on those. Loading up when we're fishing those spinners.
That's a red line series.
I was impressed.
And it's basically a price point of the XCC series.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same backbone, same composite.
You can really see the difference in a rod that completely bends consistently throughout when you load it up with them fish versus one that has kind of those flat spots. Mm-hmm. It's a huge difference. When I'm watching other guys fight those fish on those rods and I'm looking at the bend on that thing, I'm like, wow, that's really something.
Well, you can read your gear so much better, too, with that much.
Yeah, the consistency and the flashers that we're pulling and the thump of the tip of the rod and just how smooth and consistent it is. I mean, definitely a design change for the better in that presentation, right? What other, you got some other things coming out. Lamaglass is pretty exciting in the realm of kokanee and a few other things going on. What do you got coming out very soon?
Well, we do have some new things out right now for the winter. The jigging for walleye is a popular thing.
Right.
We have 3 different models.
You say jig, are you talking blade baiting?
Yep.
Pulling the jigs, okay.
Yep. We got rods from 5'8" to 7 foot. Price point rods from $89 all the way up to the closer, $250 rod that's like a feather in your hand.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's short, 45-degree angle down, and these rods have so much backbone in them, and they're such a fast tip that you can fish deeper. You can fish 30, 40, 50 feet deep.
Oh. Have you guys seen an uptick in the number of walleye rods actually going out as far as sales, pickup in sales the last couple of years based on lack of opportunity in other fisheries and more folks seem to be gravitating towards walleye fisheries?
Yes, kokanee and walleye fishing, bass rods,
yeah.
all that is doing this. Seems like with the salmon seasons and steelhead seasons and closures and the opportunity,
right?
They're kind of switching.
Yeah.
Kind of doing this thing. And that's why we're staying innovative and on top of it with like the Assassin, the Hammer series, the Closer, our walleye jigging rods. We're giving our customers that option on their price point and their feel, and offering them different categories.
What's the latest and greatest relative? When folks go rod shopping, they looking at this specific rod for this fishery or this one, and then it always comes down to, well, what's the warranty? What do I get for the warranty? So what is, like here at Sportco or at OE or any of the other outlets Lamb Glass can be found? What's the exchange policy or what's the warranty policy on most of these rods?
Well, obviously, if you take a rod out, you break it in the first week and you think it's defective, we stand behind it, we check it out. If it's defective, you get one, no questions asked. That happens about 2% of the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you get the guy that accidentally car doored the rod, the weight came back, hit it. Stuff happens when we're fishing. So we offer a fast track program. So we have rods we sell for $80, we have rods we sell for $600. So we have categories. So you take an X11, they sell $100, give or take. You're going to find better sales. It's just, you can go break that rod in your car door tonight and come back in, and for $45 you're going to get that rod given to you right back. And those prices change. We have different categories all the way up. Like I said, the Closer, the XCC, some of these domestic rods that are hitting that $300-400 range, and they go from $40, $75, $100, $150. So they're all categorized. So it's called the fast track program. So it's a no question warranty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's warranties have gone all over the roadmap. Back 10, 15 years ago, guys spent a couple $100 on a rod, which was a high-end rod at the time. It's like, if I buy this rod, you break it, we'll just replace it. But because then all of a sudden you have all this competition out there, and you have everybody wants a rod, and then they want a free rod, and it just got to be a little bit out of control. Then pretty soon manufacturers all cut back, and then it was like, well, I'll buy this rod based on the warranty program, And I think Lamb Glass's warranty program is more than fair. I think if guys are fishing rods the way they're meant to be fished, you're not going to have any issues with them, right?
That's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole other topic. So 95% of the time, the onus is on the person at the other end of the rod, and what he or she's doing is why you're having a conversation about warranty. So what do you got coming out? Something exciting in the realm of kokanee. Don't have it here tonight. You got the old standby white model that's been around forever. I got 3 or 4 of those. Love them things. But what do you got coming? Huh?
That's an 8-footer.
Oh, that's an 8-footer.
So there might be something along these lines a foot longer coming out here in the next couple of months.
Same or similar rod?
Yeah, we're going to mix some components with other rods, like take the red line handle, get away from the cork, composite, a little more backbone, so it can be used as a lead or a downrigger rod.
Good.
So
can also use it for sockeye fishing.
Absolutely.
Right.
Why getting rid of the cork and going to the other handle?
Because these rods are living most of their life in a rod holder.
Okay.
And so they're getting beat up. I mean, yeah, a lot of people say they want their traditional cork. They love the feel of traditional cork. Well, are you holding that rod all day long for kokanee?
No.
You're not.
Or sockeye.
So we're going for handles that are going to have longevity.
Yeah.
Right. Perfect.
And they're light. That carbon material is light.
That 9-footer will be fantastic to use in other fisheries. It'll cross over and perform very well, say in those resident coho fisheries up in Area 10. I mean, you're talking those 3 to 4. If you get a bonus 5-pound fish, great. But in that facet, those kokanee rods are fantastic because you're not fighting real big fish, and you get a 4 or 5-pound coho, 3-pound coho on a kokanee rod. It's a kick in the pants.
I'm going to go fishing at Brewster and Roosevelt.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. When can we expect that 9-foot kokanee rod to hit the market?
Late this winter.
Late this winter? What's the price point on that?
$129.
$129 for 9-foot, 2-piece
Yep.
kokanee rod, composite handle.
Yep.
and
a little more backbone.
Little more backbone.
Yep.
That'll be a great one.
We're excited about it.
Anybody else got a 9-foot rod? I'm not aware of anybody else that's kicked out. I've been asking for years.
I think there's.
I'd have to look. What else? You need some coffee or something, or whiskey soda? What do you got going?
Laid back tonight.
Yeah, what? What else?
9-foot kokanee rod, walleye rods. We got that composite rod you got to goof around with this fall.
Yeah.
Out in front of the Deschutes.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the XCCs and the Kenai Quicks, it's basically that exact composite rod at half the price.
Perfect.
It's a price point rod. And it performs. I took it up to the Nishigack.
Yeah.
I back trolled quick fish with it, and it performed.
Did well.
It was above my expectations.
What do you guys got? Blue Water Series tuna rods.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Dave Ing was just goofing around with one who wants to go sturgeon fishing.
He's here tonight? Oh, he was? Okay, I'll have to catch up with him.
He's probably sleeping in a corner.
All right, let's switch gears. How's how things going up north? How's the snow geese? How's the snow geese going?
They're getting smart right now.
They're getting educated?
Oh yeah.
Let's break that down for a little bit. So our original conversation quite some time ago, 1,500 bag decoys, and you can't leave these out overnight. You and your crew get out there, dark 30 at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, putting these things out, 1,500 of them or so. Explain the madness of why you put out 1,500 decoys, how these snow geese react, always fighting towards the head of the flock on the ground, right?
Yep. Snow geese, if you look at ducks, geese, snow geese in a field eating, the Canadian goose sits there and eats around itself.
Okay.
Usually eats, pecks away. You look at the ducks, they kind of move and eat and fight amongst each other. You watch a field full of snow geese, and they will mow through it and jump ahead of the other snow goose as fast as they can.
So they're literally always moving forward.
Aggressively moving, and they will take the field out in a day.
Like locusts.
Yeah.
They'll just strip a field clean.
Yeah, so and then that comes into the strategy part of setting your spread up. Obviously the wind direction.
So much like natural birds then moving from one feeding ground to the next, do you have to set up, every day you're actually switching fields moving around, or does it not matter in that regard?
No, we're scouting every day. We're scouting 3 days a week, hunting 3 days a week. And we have fields in 3 different counties.
What days are you hunting snow geese?
In Western Washington, it doesn't matter.
It's every day if you want, right?
It's not like Eastern Washington.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're doing it 7 days a week.
Okay.
Yeah, we scout a lot. It depends the flight and how they kick off the bay, and you got to be on the X, as so you've heard.
Weather play a huge role in the movement too.
Yeah, that's my biggest fight.
Right.
Is you can get in a traffic lane, you can be on the X, the field they want to eat in, but if your bags, are you familiar with the bag and stuff they have a backbone in it, a piece of wire, a piece of plastic, or they're just a bag. When that wind blows, they're bouncing.
Yeah.
Right.
When these geese start doing a half circle and they're starting to hit that 60, 70 yards, and all looking down, you're getting that funnel. If they stare at it for 20 seconds and they don't see any movement,
they're moving on.
They're getting smart 5-6 weeks into the season.
Right.
And then you throw frost into it, and you get that bag that glistens with that sunrise. Ugh. And then you're trying to hide 7 guys. Put that in there.
Now you put that spread of decoy bags out there. You guys are laying at the front of it because those geese are going to come and try to land at the front of that field, or?
Yeah, there's a setting your decoy spread up. That's everybody kind of has their own ways.
Yeah.
If you're going to set a big arm up and have them fly up the wind, and then you're going to have a hole, and they call it the head, is where the mass congregation of these snow geese are set up. So it's really thick. So they're looking to get ahead of that.
Right.
So you set flyers up. The decoys that are up on poles with wings floating with the wind that we don't have. And you're trying to attract these geese to fly up the arm. So, if you're setting a spread up in a half U or whatever, Nike swoosh, you want them to fly in and you want them to start getting low into that kill hole, they call it. And they want to get ahead of that head. So you put the decoys all tight together where your guys are laying in layout blinds. Or open layout blinds wearing Tyvek suits, so it's all one big white ball.
Huh.
Right.
And so if you don't have wind, they're coming in from this way, they're coming in from this way, they're circling, they're peeling out.
Yep.
But all those bags are moving around, and all these flyers are moving around, and they're on it.
That being said, I've seen plenty of photos with successful days up there on the old snow geese. You guys are blasting them. What's the limit? 7? 6. 6 per hunter.
Yep.
7 days a week. And you pretty booked, or you got openings?
Yeah. I mean, I got days. I mean, we're kind of transitioning right now into more ducks, just because these geese are hitting. It's actually closed right now up there. They have a 2-week closure right now.
Oh.
Because they're doing this February conservation hunt, they call it. So we have a February hunt.
Okay.
Last year was the first time they did that, and so they're closing it right now to justify that extension in the season.
Okay.
Which doesn't make sense to me if you're opening it longer to kill more.
Right. Well, explain to a viewer that hasn't ate snow geese before, how's it compared to, say, a Canadian goose or then maybe even duck?
They don't have as much flavor as a Canadian goose.
Okay.
They do have flavor. It's just a different flavor. We personally like to grind ours up.
Okay.
My kids will eat it with seasoning and sausage form till the cows come home.
Right.
But you start putting a snow goose breast on the frying pan,
not so much.
The kids aren't going to do too much eating on that.
Right.
We'll have to get some snow geese under the tutelage of Chef Kelly. He'll whip up some recipes for you there.
There you go.
We'll probably, we'll see what he can do. Well, fantastic. So you got a little break in the season now, but you still got opportunity coming up through the end of the year, or not through the end of the year, but through the end of the season.
Yep.
And you got some openings for people to book with you?
Yep. And the duck hunt is just getting better and better.
Yeah. You field hunting or hunting over water? Or?
All the above.
All the above?
We got blinds over ponds and flooded corn, and got layout blinds on the bay edge and potato fields.
Okay. It's probably worth a drive for me to come up and drag Barnum, who's a horrible shot, by the way.
Terrible shot with a shotgun.
Absolutely sucks shooting birds with a shotgun.
Terrible.
So
bring lots of shells.
It's twofold. It's a fun day of shooting birds and watching Barnum struggle.
Yep.
And be completely out of his element. So that's what I look forward to. So sound good?
I might bring my bow too and try to kill him with the bow because I'd have a better chance.
That'd be cool.
I think you could probably pull it off.
Yeah.
That I would bet you could probably pull off. So what do you say we give away a fishing rod? Huh?
Let's do it.
You guys got your choice here in the audience. If you want to win a fishing rod, you get your choice of a Kokanee rod, this classic 8-foot that's so well known. And of course, we have this, is that a Redline Series float rod?
Yep.
9.5, 9 foot?
9.4.
9.4.
9.4, 8 to 12.
Perfect.
Medium spin rod.
There you go. That'll work just fantastic for a little bobber and jig action, this low gin clear water. Shane, go ahead and pull a number for the fishing rod before we get kick Aaron out of here. And for those still sitting in the audience, we got an opportunity to give you an option of which rod you want to get. So adult ticket, please. Let's go. Let's go. 392.
Nice. He's got about 80 tickets. He's like, it paid off.
Oh, dude, I want the llama glass.
Yeah, they're both llama glass. I want the llama glass. Well, you can't go wrong there. There you go. Happy customer right there.
Yeah.
Got himself a new bobber jig rod.
Yep.
Yeah, let's give the bucket away real quick before we get off here.
Wait, can I get this removed so I don't think I'm stealing it?
Nope.
We'll talk about that after the show. It's all showmanship. We don't really get that rod. You got to give that back.
See how far you can get.
486. Get a bucket of Kokanee gear. Anybody? All right, we'll draw another one. Well, hey, man, thank you for spending some time. I know you've been here most of the afternoon getting ready for...
Which one is it? What'd you say it was, sir?
486.
Oh, yeah, it's me right here. Sorry.
You should have got the Kokanee rod, bro.
You would have had all the gear to go with it.
You can use with that flow rod. What's the rate of exchange here, Aaron?
Let's see how far he gets with that one.
Yeah. There's some egg cure in there for you and some Pautzke trout eggs you can tie into spawn bags. So it's a win-win.
Yep.
How does the guy in the front row clean up at the last go here?
Because he's got 40 tickets.
Oh, how's that happen?
And it was a great investment because he got way more than $40 worth of stuff today.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can buy them too.
You can buy up. Yeah, free raffle and you can buy up.
Smart move.
Deserves it.
Well, yeah. We're not done yet. I'm getting yelled at by the people here. Hats off to Shing and all the work she did in putting those prize buckets together. Thank you to our sponsors for tonight, Pautzke's, and of course Max Lure, provided us with a ton of, we got Dodgers in there and tons of squids and what else did we put in there? We put some wiggle thing or whatever. I don't know.
There's a whole bunch of good stuff in there.
There's a whole bunch of good stuff in there. Got some trout bait, got some egg cure. I got some great stickers and some treats put in there by Shing. So, yeah, she did an amazing job. If you were here long enough to win some prizes, congratulations. Appreciate everybody coming out. Appreciate all you folks that purchased hats and shirts and wares and some of our new beer pints. Did you check out those beer pints, Aaron? Bit of a beer drinker, aren't you? One or two. Gotta watch out. The beard wants to get some cleansing cream in your beard also. He does that to the dog in the house too.
See, my wife's starting to say that about my hair too.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you got to do something with that. I'm like, whoa. No.
You and Wilson got a lot in common right now. Just saying. Anyway, I want to thank everybody who turned out tonight for Members Night here at Sportco. It's always a fun event. Been fighting the overhead PA all night, Barney, but we got through it. Hats off to David over in IT ground blind.
Santa finally quieted those.
Out, stopped by, said hi during the break. So hopefully everybody had a good time. We sure did. We'll be back next week live in studio with Lauren Culp. 2 hours with the individual who has thrown his hat into the ring on the Republican ticket for governor. Should be a very interesting show, Barnum.
Yes.
We got a lot of questions for that gentleman.
Super excited for that one.
So, all right, with that, make sure you check us out during the week on Facebook. We'll be interactive all week long, lots of content, lots of information, and we're going to book a duck or a goose hunting trip with you, my friend. So, hey, thanks for stopping by tonight. Appreciate it. Thanks for donating the rod. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll see you next week, 7 o'clock in studio. We'll be back. Have a great week, everybody.